Boker Tov, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's amazing to have you all here. We're going to start today with words of Hine Ma Tov, how good and pleasant it is, how joyful it is for all of us to be together on this very special Shabbat. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Anu, Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Some call and repeat. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim, Shevet Achim, Gam Yachad.
Boker Tov. Oh, that's okay. So Boker Tov means good morning. So we can try that together. Boker Tov.
Boker
There
Tov.
we go. So Boker Tov and Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah. Good morning to everyone. It's so wonderful to join here together. Now, there's this special moment of when we come here for Shabbat, here at Beth Am. I'm Rabbi Jason Levine, Rabbi Dana Benson. We thank Noah for his amazing help on music this morning, and Jamie on her amazing help with tech. This is meant to be a service that we join in together. Whether you're joining from at home or you're joining from here in the sanctuary, we need to feel your energy. We don't want to be sitting in this big room and just a lot of buzz of not air conditioning, of the heater going on. We want to hear you. If you know the prayers, you know the words, sing along. Or clap along when we clap along. If you're not quite sure, feel free to hum along or lie along. We want to join together. It's okay to let loose a little bit. Last night during services, we had a lot of little ones dancing in the aisles, which was amazing. Like I said last night, we can learn from our little ones. It's okay to be involved. It's okay to engage a little bit. It's okay to bring your energy here and to bring your energy at home. We can feel your energy even for those of you joining at home. So join with us. Sing along. Be part of this special Shabbat together. And we're so grateful that you're here. And for those of you who are joining at home, on our website, you can find the same prayer book that we are using, or anyone who brought a tablet or device here in the sanctuary. There's a link on our website to a flip book that takes you to the same prayer book that we're using here today. And it's such an honor to join for Shabbat, for this day of rest, for this day of peace, for this day of joy with all of you together. We're actually going to continue with our services on page number 80. Page 80, with a few blessings to start to wake us up, to start prepare us for the day, for our time together here for Shabbat. It's an honor to welcome Barbara Droker, a member of our leader in our community, to lead us in our next series of prayers, beginning on page number 80.
Thank you. We're going to do a series of blessings, our daily miracles. So we'll read the ones on pages 80, 82, and 84. I'll be chanting in Hebrew, and you can follow along in English or chant with me. When we get to the last blessing, our Beth Am tradition is to think of your own blessing. And I'll give you a few seconds to come up with that, and then we'll do that last blessing together, chanting the first 2 lines and then adding your own thought. Beginning on the top of page 80. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lasech vina lehavchim ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam roka haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin mitzadei kaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten laif koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir shena meinai utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat horim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tif'ara. Think of your own now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has brought us to this festival of lights.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Barbara. All those miracles, all those moments meant to wake us up, to prepare us for where we are today, to help us be ready for these moments of gathering, these moments of song. Let's take, before we transition to our morning service, let's just take a moment for a deep breath. I feel some tension in this congregation today. Let's take a deep breath. Those of you at home too, you can join us, it's okay. This special time we have together. We continue on page 108, page 108 in our prayer book or in our flip book. We begin our morning service with the words of Baruch Hu, helping us become awake. For those who it is their tradition and who they are able, we welcome you to rise for Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalalai. La la la
If you are standing, please be seated. We continue with Yotzer Or, found on page 110. Yotzer Or, calling God the one who brings on the light. Maybe by saying this prayer, we'll get the clouds away and brighten this place up a little bit. It's an honor to welcome up Julia Josephson, who becomes Bat Mitzvah this morning, to lead us in prayer. Again, Yotzer Or, page 110.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Yotzer or uvurei choshech, Osei shalom uvurei et hakol, Ha'meir la'aretz v'ladarim, Alecha b'rachamim, Uv tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, Ma'aseh v'reishit ma rabba ma'asecha Adonai, Kula b'chokhma asita, mal'a ha'aretz kinyanecha. Tit barach Adonai, Eloheinu al sheva machasei yedecha. Al sheva ma'asei yedecha. Ve'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela. Or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir V'nizke Chulanu Me'herach Le'oro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'oro.
We continue on page 112 with Ahava Rabbah.
Ahava Rabbah Ahavta Anu Adonai Eloheinu Chamla Gedola V'Teira Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Ve'imoteinu Shabbat chuvecha, avotenu ve'imotenu, v'telamdem chukei chayim, ki techunenu tlamdenu, ham rachem, rachem aleinu, v'tein b'libeinu lehavin ulhaskil, lishmoa lilmo lamed, lishmor v'la'asot, ulkayet kol divra, Talmud Toratacha be'ahava, v'ha'er anenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libenu b'mitzvotecha, v'yached levavenu le'ahava וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש, ולא ניכלם, ולא ניכשל, לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך.
והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע סלע באמת, להודות לך ולידך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. Page 114, the words of Shema, words that unite and connect us to each other, proclaiming the oneness of God. Some people have the tradition to stand for Shema, some people have the tradition to not. Whatever is your tradition, we join with Alec and Julia together for Shema on page 114.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
If you are standing, please be seated. We continue on page 116 with Ve'ahavta. We join with Alec and Julia together.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי v'dibar tabam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'lechtecha v'derech, u'shochvecha u'kumecha, u'kshartam v'od al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot ben einecha, u'chtavta al mezuzah beitecha, u'visharecha.
L'ma'an tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lechot lechem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem emet. We continue with words of song, of joy, of freedom, of a sense of relief, which I know our two amazing B'nai Mitzvah will feel at the end of the service. And so we join on page 122 for our song of joy and freedom, as I mentioned. And as Rabbi Jason was saying, this is one of those full participation type of moments. Enjoy dancing in your seats. Enjoy the fullness of this moment as we celebrate together. Elim Adonai, micha mocha neheta b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei felech, nora tehilot osei felech. Shir ha'chadasha shibhu ge'ulim, leshimcha l'sfatayom, yachad kulam hodu, v'himlichu ve'amru, Adonai imoch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imoch le'olam va'ed. Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, michamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei felech, nora tehilot osei felech. Yai rai 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 rai.
All right, we're getting some community energy going. I like that. Yeah.
We're all
We
warmed up.
take that moment, we take that energy, we elevate in our service. On page 124, we reach the next section of our service, which is called the Amidah, the standing prayer, as that energy rises with us. It's an honor to welcome up Alec Josephson, who becomes Bar Mitzvah this morning, to lead us in the next few pages together. If it is your tradition or you're able, we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El Hagadol, Hagibor, Ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol V'zocher Hastei Avot, Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozeh U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Yaakov Rav L'Chashiyah, Mashiv HaRuach Umarit HaGashem Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umkayem Emunato Lishenei Yavah Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umidom Elot Melech Meimid Umechayeh Umatmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman ata lechacha hayot hakol Baruch ata Adonai Mechayeh hakol.
We continue now on page 130 with the Kedushas. Thank you so much, Alex. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom Kakatuv al yad neviecha V'kara ze el ze ve'amar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzevaot Meloch ol haaretz Kevodo Adir, Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Ma'adir Shimcha Bechol haaretz Baruch Kevod Adonai Mimkomo Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu Berachamav Le'nei Kol Chai Ani Adonai Elohechem Yimloch Adonai leolam Elohai Tzion Ledor vador Hallelujah Ledor vador nagid godlecha Ulenetzach netzachim kedushatcha nakdish V'shivhacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
If you are never mind, take that back. We continue together on page 134 with Kiddushat Hayom. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Retzei b'mnuchatenu Kachenu b'mitzvotecha V'ten halkenu b'toratecha Sabenu mituvecha V'samchenu b'shuatecha V'tahel libenu Le'ovdecha be'emet V'cham hilenu Adonai Eloheinu Be'ahava uratzon Shabbat kodshecha V'yanuchu v'Yisrael Mekadshei shemecha Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We take the next few moments for a silent prayer If you use the words in our prayer book, it's through page 142. Or just take the moment for whatever prayers come from your own hearts. Once you've completed your moments of silent reflection and thoughts, we invite you to be seated.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
We transition to the next part of our service, which is Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our service for the reading of Torah, which begins on page 244. Oh, there we go. But we begin our Torah service by speaking about how its value is held in its traditions, in its legacy for our entire community. So we open with a blessing read by a member of our community, our wonderful leader, T.F. Rourke. We thank you, T.F., for offering this reading, offering this blessing to begin our Torah service.
We thank God for the gift of Torah and for the wondrous opportunity to share it with a new generation. Today, you ensure the continuation of the legacy of Moses and Miriam, who first taught Torah to our people. As we prepare to hand the Torah to you now, thank you. It is our hope that just as you will carry it in your hands today, you will carry it within your heart always as a perpetual expression of faith in God and commitment to your people.
Thank you, T.F. We continue as we pass the Torah down from generation to generation, and we acknowledge the many people in this family, the loved ones who help us, who helped them grow and brought Alec and Julia to this moment. I would just note, for the connection of generations, Alec is actually using the same tallis that's been worn by Neil and Sophie in moments of Jewish celebration. We also want to acknowledge loving family members of many generations who are joining us from afar. Alec and Julia's great aunts, Frances Yauk, Pearl Nessenbaum, Carol Berman, Joan Halpin, Lin Chow, their aunt Deborah Josephson, their uncle Ting Wong, their cousin Maya Dater, and all of their friends and relatives joining from around the country. With all those loved ones mentioned, we continue this tradition of passing the Torah down from one generation to the next as we welcome Alec and Julia's parents forward, and together we rise on page 244 for Ein Kamocha.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch leolam vaed, Adonai oz leamo yitein, Adonai evarech leamo v'shalom.
We read in Pirkei Avot the ethics of our sages. When Moses received the Torah at Mount Sinai from the hand of God, Moses then passed the Torah to Joshua. Joshua passed the Torah to the prophets. The prophets passed it to their successors, then to the elders, and finally to the people of the great assembly. We have passed down our Torah, our heritage, our values, in an unbroken line spanning thousands of years. A tradition we continue today as we pass the Torah down from generation to generation to Alec and to Julia, that they might hold on to all their heritages, make them proud, and continue on to the next generation as well.
Ki mitzion teitze Torah, Ki mitzion teitze Torah, Udvar Adonai b'Yerushalayim. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'Kidushato.
Page 248, we again proclaim the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
I'd like to welcome up Alec and Julia's aunt Michelle and sister Sophie to help us undress our Torah.
Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim. Al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al
Thank you to Michelle. Thank you to Sophie. Thank you as well. If you are standing, you can be seated. Grab a seat as well. This week we read from Torah portion Miketz, which is the second part of the three-part saga of Joseph, our patriarch. As we learn, in just a moment, we'll find him now first beginning in prison and beginning his elevation to being the second in command of all Egypt. This is the portion always read during Hanukkah, which is about the lights and the miracles and the amazing opportunities that we can take advantage of in our lives. It's something that Joseph takes advantage of as he continues to elevate his stature. Perhaps a lesson for all of us to find the opportunities that are around us, to take hold of them, to help us continue to grow. But before we read from Torah, from Parshat Miketz, we have the honor of learning more deeply about its meanings and its words, as we'll first hear and learn from a Devar Torah from Alec. I'd like to remind all of us here and at home that when he is done, instead of applauding, we can say Yasher Koach or Kol HaKavod, which both mean well done, as I know it will be. It's our honor to learn about the Torah portion from Mr. Alec Josephson.
Abraham Lincoln once said, "Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power." This week's Torah portion is called Miketz, and is a story about power, of what it means to have it. In Egypt, Pharaoh had two dreams. After Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dreams to predict 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine, Pharaoh gave Joseph the power to store a fraction of the food produced in the first 7 years, and to distribute it during the famine. When Pharaoh did this, he made Joseph second in command. During the famine, Joseph feeds the people of Egypt and saves them from starvation. In this way, Joseph used his power for good, but he also used his power in other ways that were more questionable. To understand this, you have to know that Joseph had a troublesome history with his brothers. His brothers had been jealous of him because he was his father's favorite child, so they sold him into slavery. Now, during the famine, his brothers came to him in need of food. Although they did not recognize him, he recognized them and used his power to accuse them of being spies and thieves. Joseph forced them to bring their youngest brother to him, his only full brother, and the one he loved most. In this story, Joseph used his power to help the nation by feeding the people of Egypt, but he also used his power for more selfish reasons to get back at his brothers for what they had done to him before. Some people think that what Joseph did was great. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs wrote, "It may be that the Torah intends no criticism of Joseph whatsoever. He was acting loyally to Pharaoh and judiciously to Egypt as a whole." On the other hand, in the same article, Rabbi Sachs explains, tradition called Joseph Hatzadik, the righteous. At the same time, the Talmud said he died before his brothers because he assumed heirs of authority. Even a tzaddik with the best of intentions, when he or she enters politics and assumes heirs of authority, can make mistakes. In other words, Joseph assumed power over his brothers and abused it for selfish reasons. This story teaches us that when you have power, you need to be careful. Each of us may want to do good, but may have personal reasons to get back at someone, or given to greed, peer pressure, or envy. Joseph saved the people of Egypt from a famine, but Joseph was still human. He did things for personal reasons. It is important to ask ourselves the questions: what is power? Who has power? And do I have power? One kind of power is the ability to make someone do what you want them to, even if they don't want to. The president has power over a country, teachers have power over their students, and parents have power over their kids. Most of the time, I don't feel like I have very much power, but when I think about it, we all have power. We have power over people who might not have the same advantages as us, or who might be bullied or excluded during social activities such as school or club. But most importantly, we have power over ourselves. We have the power over how we treat others, and we also have the power to improve ourselves and make our lives more meaningful. To use power to do good, we first have to realize we have it. How do these teachings about power relate to the story of Hanukkah? After all, this Torah portion is read during the holiday. The story of Hanukkah tells of a small band of Jews, led by Judah the Maccabee, that defeated the oppressive Syrians so that they could reclaim Jerusalem and continue to observe their traditions. Rabbi Jeremy Schwartz wrote, Hanukkah is a holiday of resistance to a normalizing uniformity that would deny Jews and others the right to be different. It's also a holiday that celebrates victory over a wealth-amassing empire. To me, this means that power comes from different sources. There's power that comes with money or weapons, but there's also power that comes with internal strength, knowing who we are and having strong connections to our roots. This Torah portion teaches us that power can be used for good and bad, and when we have power, we need to be thoughtful about how we use it.
Kol hakavod.
Yasher Koach. Don't go too far, Alec. Alec will be our first Torah reader this morning. As Alec mentioned, we are reading from Parshat Miketz. If you would like to follow along, you can. If in person, if you find the books in the seats in front of you, you open to page 275. And if you have a tablet or you're joining virtually, I'm just doing this as I get ready. You're welcome on our website. We have a link to the website Sepharia, Jewish Library, which has the week's Torah portion ready to go for you. We are reading today from Genesis chapter 43. Alex is going to begin reading us today, Genesis chapter 43, verses 13 through 21. Page 275. It's an honor to call up Alec as our first Torah reader. And it's an honor to call up as well his sister Sophie and his aunt Michelle for the Aliyah.
Ta'amodna Azriela bat Naftali ve'Michaela bat Ephraim ve'Yildil le'Aliyah Rishona.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Begin with verses 13 through 17.
ואת אחיכם קחו וקומו שובו אל האיש ואל שדי ייתן לכם רחמים לפני האיש ושילח לכם את אחיכם אחר ואת בנימין ואני כאשר שחותי ויקחו הנשים את המנחה הזאת ומשתה כסף לקחו בידם ואת בנימין ויקומו וירדו מצרים ויעמדו לפני יוסף וירא יוסף איתם את בנימין ויאמר לאשר על ביתו הבא את האנשים הביתה וטבח וכן כי איתי יאכלו האנשים בצהריים ויעש האיש כאשר אמר יוסף ויבא האיש et ha'anashim v'ta Yosef.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Thank you, Meg.
Aww.
We continue with verses 18 through 21 on that same page, 275. It's now an honor to call up Alec himself to recite the Torah blessings as he becomes bar mitzvah. I'd like invite his parents to come join him.
Hakol havu godel Eloheinu, utnu kavod leTorah. Ya'amod habar mitzvah, Ephraim ben Naphtali le'aliyah shniya.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayiv'u ha'anashim ki huvu beit Yosef v'yamru el davar ha'kesef eshav be'am techotenu v'achila anachnu muva'im l'hit golel aleinu l'hit napel aleinu v'yichu otanu v'yadim ve'et hamarenu v'yishu el ha'ish asher el beit Yosef v'yadbru elav petach habayit v'yamru bi Adoni yaradnu bat hilal b'shbor uchel v'hiki v'enu el hamlon v'niftechat et am techotenu v'enu kesef ish b'fi am tachto kasbenu b'mishkalo v'nishev oto v'yadenu.
Yasher koach. Blessing after it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach. Nicely done.
Beautiful.
Y'all can grab a seat. Well done, Alec. We take this moment in the midst of our Torah service to add a prayer for healing. Healing of minds and body and spirits, all those who struggle, all those who are having difficult moments. We think of all those who are still ill and struggling during this pandemic, and are grateful to all of the healthcare workers who have kept our community healthy and safe. We also think of those who struggle on a daily basis, simply because of the color of their skin, where they're from, whom they love, or how they pray. We also add the names of our loved ones who are ill. We invite you, on those joining online, to add their names to the chat, and those joining in person to speak their names out loud, so we can hold them all together in our hearts and pray for their comfort, their strength, and their healing.
Rifa'enu Adonai v'nerafet Hoshi'enu v'ni v'she'a Hen karov l'chol korov Kal karov l'reyav Yishmo. We pray for healing of the body. We
May God heal all of us now. If you didn't have the moment before, if you'd like to share the names of loved ones out loud, you're welcome to. It was God to give strength and healing to all of us. And we thank our Beth Am soloists for the beautiful rendition of Heal Us Now. We continue in our Torah service. It's an honor to welcome up Julia as our next Torah reader. Julia will be reading in full Genesis chapter 43, verses 24 through 32. We begin, if you have a physical book, on that same page, page 275. Why don't you grab the yard and find your place, friends? Julia will begin first with reading verses 24 through 28. It's an honor to call up her sister Sophie and her aunt Michelle to bless Torah for the Aliyah.
Ta'amodna Azriela bat Naphtali ve'Michaela bat Ephraim v'Dile Aliyah Shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Vayave ha'ish et hanashim v'tara Yosef v'yitin maim v'yirchatzu ragleihem v'yitain mispo lachamoreihem v'yachinu et hamachad bo Yosef b'taharaim kisham yachlu lachem v'yavo Yosef habayta v'yavi'u lo et hamacha asher v'yadam habayta v'yishtahavu lo artsa v'yish'ol lahem l'shalom v'yomru hashalom avechem hazaken asher amartem ha'odenu chai v'yomru shalom l'avdecha l'vinu odenu chai v'yigdu v'yishtahavu.
Yashar
Shekach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. And you can hug. Do you have consent for the hug?
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Michelle. We continue on page 276 with verses 29-32, as it's an honor to call up Julia herself to say the Torah blessings as she becomes bar mitzvah. I'd like to invite her parents to come join her.
Hakol havu godel Eloheinu utnu kavod leTorah. Ta'amod habat mitzvah aviva bat Naphtali le'aliyah revi. There you go.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
V'yasa einai vayar et Benyamin achiv ben imo v'yomer hiv achachem hagaton asher amartem elai v'yomer Elohim yochnecha b'ni Vayamru Yosef ki nechmara rachamav. Al achiv vayvakesh livkot ot vayave hachara vayivche shama vayirhatz panav vayetze vayitapak vayamru simu lachem vayasimu lo levado vilahem levadam vilamitzrim chachalim ito levadam kilo yuchlon hamitzrim lechol et ha'ivrim lechim ki toeva hiv lamitzrim.
Yasher koach.
Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Yasher koach indeed. So I'm going to take the yad from you. I want to invite you to turn and face your parents as the Torah remains open. Alec, will you come up and join us as well? Oh my goodness, I absolutely forgot. Thank you for that. So hold on a second. So why don't Neil and Shaw, you grab a seat over there. I want to do everything first before we do that. And Alec, you grab a seat over there. I thank you for the reminder. We have the honor of hearing the Devar Torah from Miss Julia Josephson. I thank you for the reminder.
There's one issue that the whole world is facing right now. There's one issue that the whole world is facing right now, apart from COVID, of course. This issue is climate change. Right now, climate change is a huge problem that in many ways is underestimated. To overcome this problem, we need the right leaders, just like Joseph, who led Egypt through hard times. This week's Torah portion is a story about conservation in Egypt. Pharaoh had two dreams. In the first dream, there were 7 fat cows grazing by a river, but then 7 skinny cows came along and ate them. In the second dream, 7 fat ears of corn get swallowed by 7 thin ears of corn. Pharaoh needs someone to interpret his dream, so he summons Joseph. Joseph tells Pharaoh that these dreams predict that there will be 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine in Egypt. Joseph suggests that during the years of plenty, they should set aside food for the years of famine. I think this Torah portion relates to saving, and I thought about it more specifically like conserving our planet. Pharaoh was warned 7 years before the famine. We too have been warned about climate change. Experts have predicted that in only 10 years, it may be too late to come back from the damage caused by climate change. If we keep ignoring climate issues at the rate we're going, the Amazon rainforest could be gone by 2064, and polar bears could be wiped out by the end of this century. If we don't stop and think about our Earth the way Joseph thought about Egypt, climate change's consequences will keep getting worse and worse. As Rabbi Evan J. Crane said in the article, Our Planet, Our Plan, quote, Pharaoh understands the implications of Joseph's dream. Without a plan and without a wise leader to execute the plan, Pharaoh risks his country falling to ruin. With this in mind, he appoints Joseph himself to put a plan into action that will save Egypt from an environmental disaster, end quote. Pharaoh saved Egypt by choosing the right leader. In the same way, we need to choose leaders who will fight climate change by putting policies in place to limit the use of fossil fuels. Not only was Joseph a wise leader to Egyptians, helping them to save and ration, he also made the personal choice of not having children during the famine so that there would not be more people to feed. In this way, Joseph also made a personal sacrifice to help Egypt survive possible starvation. To me, this Torah portion teaches that it is important to choose the right leader to fight climate change, and also to make personal choices to help the environment. It is understandable to not want to think about climate change and to choose convenience over what may be better for our planet. Sometimes I feel too lazy to walk and want to get driven somewhere close. Joseph wasn't perfect, and we don't have to be either, but we can try. Just as Pharaoh chose a strong leader to conserve and protect Egypt's food, we need to choose leaders who will work to save our planet's resources. This week's Torah portion teaches us that leadership and personal choices can help solve a world problem. Just like Joseph protected the land of Egypt from starvation, we need to protect the whole world from climate change. Egypt had 7 years to prepare for the famine, and they were warned so they could act on that information they had. We have also been warned, and now is time to act on that information by choosing wise leaders and making the right personal choices.
Amen.
Yasher koach.
Yasher koach.
Thank you, Julia. Powerful, very powerful. So now we have this moment in front of our Torah, the sacred text which has been part of our community for thousands of years, when moments of blessing truly occur. And now we're going to add a special blessing to this moment that we're in right now. So I want to invite Alec and Julia forward, as well as their parents. As parents are going to offer them a blessing that they have crafted for just this sacred occasion. Come over here a little bit. There.
Julia, your middle name was chosen for you by your grandfather, my father. It is May, the Chinese word for plum blossom, the first flower to bloom in the spring, often festooning the still bare branches while winter's chill yet bites. The Chinese revere the plum blossom for its beauty and its bravery, daring to show its delicate petals even in the face of winter. And we are all familiar with the sight of those petals showering us like snowflakes on a windy spring day, a touch of magic just as spring arrives. Julia, you often seem like magic to me. Creative, funny, beautiful, and brave. With this name, your Chinese ancestors speak to you with the blessings of many generations. May you take these blessings and the blessings bestowed upon you through the passing of the Torah to enter the world of adulthood as the plum blossom enters spring, seemingly delicate, but actually so strong, persistent, lovely, magical. Alec, your middle name was also chosen for you by your grandfather, my father. It is Long, the Chinese word for dragon, the most revered of all the creatures of the Chinese zodiac. Chinese dragons do not breathe fire, but rather breathe clouds because they are thought to live among the heavens. Chinese dragons are not angry and vengeful, but powerful, kind, intelligent, and wise. I can't think of a better name for you, Alec. You are observant and thoughtful, intelligent, and possess an excellent sense of humor. May you carry the wisdom of sages from both sides of your family to choose your own path, to lead and create, to use your own strengths for good, and to come to know your own power.
Alec, you are mature beyond your years. At 13, you possess wisdom, equanimity, and humility that usually come late in life, if ever. Make it your superpower. Combine these qualities with the curiosity and energy of your youth to change the world for the better. And along the way, allow yourself to feel just a touch of pride in what you accomplish. Julia, you are born with imagination that cannot be taught. It is a gift that allows you to see the world from a unique perspective. The observations you make challenge me to think as much as the questions you ask. Continue to develop your creativity. It is a force for good and can bring joy to you and those lucky enough to know you. Alec and Julia, my wish for both of you is that you experience what you have given me, joy and fulfillment beyond anything I could have imagined. You are the one more child that Mom and I agreed to have. At the time, I didn't feel an overwhelming need to raise another child, let alone twins. Being a father was wonderful, but I was ready to focus on other things. How much less gratifying my life would have been had you not been part of it, I will never know. For that, I am infinitely grateful.
That's beautiful. Before you all disappear, I want to invite Neil as well as Davy, the family friend and their tutor, to help us with the honors of lifting and dressing our Torah, and Cha, along with Julia and Alex's uncle Steve, to come forward to help us open the ark as we return the Torah. You can follow along with both of these beginning on 252, page 252, as we lift and dress the Torah and return it to the ark. If it is your tradition or custom, we invite you to rise.
Asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Ki lakach tov natati lahem torati ta'azovu. It's chaim hi lemachazikim bo v'tomchecha meushar derachecha darchei noam v'chol netivotecha shalom ashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chodesh Chodesh Yameinu Chodesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Please be seated. We continue now with our reading from the prophets, our Haftarah. If you were reading today from the prophet Zechariah, this is a Haftarah that is unique and read only during Hanukkah. Zechariah is speaking to the people who have just returned from the Babylonian exile, and they're struggling with their life. They're not quite sure what the days ahead, even as they return to the land, might be. This is read during Hanukkah, as we also have the moments when the people return following the Greek invasion and the temple's desecration, and the people struggle to find out what to do next, including seeking enough oil to relight the menorah in the ancient temple. Julie and Alec will be reading in total Zechariah chapter 4, verses 1 through 7. If you'd like to follow along in your Chumashim, in the bigger books, it's page 1645, all the way at the back, where these special holiday Haftarah are saved, page 1645. And for those of you who have a tablet or joining online, again in Zechariah. In Sepharia, you can read Zechariah, it's a horrible rhyme, chapter 4. If you want to follow along with the blessings as well, they're back in your prayer book on page 254. Alec and Julia, the Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah b'divrehem hanemarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Amecher Atara'a Moshe Avdo V'Israel Amo Uvinvir Ha'emet V'Tzedek
Va'an va'omar el hamalach hadover bi lemor. Ma ele adoni va'ya'an hamalach hadover bi. Vayomer Eli halo yadata ma hema ele. Vaomar lo Adoni. Vayaan vayomer Eli lemor ze devar Adonai el Zerubbabel lemor lo. V'chayil v'lo v'choach ki im beruchi amar Adonai tzivaot. Mi atah har hagadol lifnei Zerubbabel lemishor v'hotzi et ha'even harosha tishuot chen la.
Vayashav Hamalach Hadover bi Vayireni Keish Asher Yeor Mishnato Vayomer Ele Ma Ata Ro'ech Va'omar Ra'iti Vahine Menorat Zahav Kula V'gula Al Rosha V'shiv'a Nerotecha Aleha Shiv'a V'shiv'a Mutzakot Lanerot Asher Al Rosha Ushnaim Zaitim Aleha Echad Mimin Hagula Ve'echad Al Simola
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzorko haolamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el haneman haomer ve'oseh hamdaber umkayem shekol dvarav emet v'tzedek al hatorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu lekdusha v'lemenucha lechavod v'tifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim la umvarchim otah Yitbarashim chabefi chochai Tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat
Amen. So touch your papers. I want you to step over there for a moment. Oh, grab that tallis.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. Just wanted to fix that for you.
Don't go too far. Come on, come on. As you've done, you can put your papers down for a second. We just want to celebrate you. That's really it. We just want to celebrate you. On behalf of all the rabbis, Alec and Julia, it is so meaningful and inspiring to stand with you today on this bima. Throughout this entire process, you have been so steady in your studies, diligent in your growing, and persevering through some very tough obstacles, including those that arose at the very end of your journey. And as you turn from this day towards your Jewish and human futures, we hope that you take the skills you have learned, the wisdom you have gained about yourself, and your potential, and that you know the love of your family and friends and that's always with you. You're both so kind, so courageous, and so supportive. I know you'll always be there for each other. We look forward to the blessings that you will give to this world, the good you will do for those in need, and how much you will lead us all. As you continue on your own path, may you take chances, explore the unknown, and know that you have a loving community that always stands beside you. You are surrounded by blessings, so now it is your path to carve, and may it be one of compassion, acts of justice, and love. And we as clergy have the honor of also blessing you with Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, the oldest blessing in our Jewish tradition.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless and keep each one of you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's presence be with you all days of your life and always grant you peace. Ken yehi ratzon. May it be God's will, and Mazel Tov to you both. And with the Mazel Tov, we also get to give you a few gifts as well from our community. Books of blessings, so you can continue to be a blessing to your community and those around you, as well as Kiddush cups to continue the celebration of Shabbat in your family and at home together. So these are for you to take home, not right now, but when you leave today, make sure you grab these home. We say Mazel Tov to you on behalf of the whole community, our board of directors. We're excited for the future that you will lead us into. Mazel Tov. Now I'm going to ask the two of you to open the ark doors as we move towards the conclusion of our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282, page 282 at the top of the page. If it is your tradition or you're able to rise, please do so for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'otzeh bereshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo begovei meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא 287 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Close the ark. If you are standing, please be seated. Thank you, Beth. We take this time towards the conclusion of our services for a prayer of memory. Even in our Shabbat celebration and joy, we think and honor and remember all of our loved ones who help us reach this moment of celebration, this moment of memory. Alec and Julia and their family are remembering on this sacred day. Their grandparents, Alan and Adele Josephson, grandparents Shi Rong and Von Wong, great uncle Julian Josephson, great aunt Eileen Rubin, great aunt Mildred Wynn, cousin Adam Yauk, great uncle Noel Yauk, great uncle Freddie Nessenbaum, great grandmother Millie Josephson, great grandmother Jenny Goldberg, as as well as Pat Miller, the mother of a dear friend, Matthew Miller. Pat died this past week. Matthew is sitting Shiva and can't join us in person, but we offer our condolences to you, Matthew. We also remember those in our community who are in this week, in this Shabbat. To be laid to rest in future days, Selma Klausman, aunt of Susan Klasterman. And when the Pir of the Shloshim, the 30 days of mourning, for Anne Strauss, mother of Laura and Susan, Olga Butler, wife of Henry, mother of Ron and Stephen, mother-in-law of Karen and Deborah, grandmother of Eric and Gil, and the first female presidents of Temple Beth Am. Stanley Siegel, father of Andrea, father-in-law of Craig, grandfather of Zoe, Hannah, and Abby. Gerald Katz, brother of Larry, brother-in-law of Diana, uncle of Jesse and Ethan. Lee Broadwin, father of Elliot, father-in-law of Christina. And our whole Jewish community, our art community, is in the period of Shloshim for the great Jewish composer Stephen Sondheim. We also want to remember the victims of gun violence, mass shootings that have been lost this past week. The 4 lives lost in Rex, Georgia, the 4 lives lost in Oxford, Michigan, the 5 lives lost in Lancaster, California. We also remember these loved ones whose yahrzeit it is this week, the anniversary of their loss. We have a number of names, many people that we remember. Shirley Baker, Benjamin Baker, Honey Barron, Rennie Beater, Fritz Bolowski, James Belia, Judith Bendor, Benjamin Bergson, Ace Bessman, Philip Blacklow, David Bedansky, Isabel Bravman, Susan Brown, Eleanor Bush, Anne Sion, Sybil Cornell, Yolanda De Perez, Sean DeLay, J.D. Devane, Dorothy Dolan, Yolanda Genoso, June Droker, Pauline Duber, Irving Epstein, Helen Epstein, Earl Erdick, Rosalie Eulenberg, Mickey Firestone, Myron Freed, Al Friedman, Kitra Garrett, Gerald Goodmanson, Sid Goss, Joseph Gottlieb, Alan Green, Herman Grunfeld, Shelley Gooderson, Jerry Hecht, Harry Herman, Violet Hillel, Jacqueline Hott, Theodore Jacobs, Fela Jacobiski Fenstermacher, Max Kahn, Gladys Kaplan, Sheila Kasperzik, Erwin Klein, Emily Cohn, Jerome Lorber, Robert Lewers, Marcia Meyerhoff, Marilyn Miller, Mandel Miller, Miriam Nacht, Joseph Pavlak, John Pence, Gail Ringer, Ernie Robinson, Paula Rose, Jack Russo, Benjamin Shire Baker, Oscar Schwartz, Harold Schwartz, Howard Shenson, Mary Schuster, Joe Schuster, Sandra Siegel, Louis Siegel, Dorton Silver, Ellen Silverman, Anthony Smith, Daniel Stoller, Larry Wender, Sylvia Wortman, Helen Zabinski, Henry Zabinski, Alex Zadek, Melvin Zeiker. If any names have been omitted or mispronounced, we invite you to add them to their chat or to share them with our community at this time. If you're within the first 7 days of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're in the first 30 days of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're in the first year of mourning, you're welcome to rise. If you're observing a yahrzeit on this Shabbat, you're welcome to rise. If it is your tradition to rise in love and solidarity, you're welcome to do so. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. Yitkedal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma dirach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uvchaye dochol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mivarach la'olam almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata Da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom v'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Yoshvei tevel, all who dwell on the earth. If you're standing, please be seated. I stole a bit of the thunder, but it's still important. I want to invite Ronnie Shore, member of our board of directors, forward, just to offer a word of greetings and a word of congratulations from our board. Sorry about that.
Julia, Alec, will you step up for a moment? We'll just stand right over there. 6 feet apart, right? So by the power invested in me by the board of directors, you already talked to us about power. My power here today doesn't come from some board of directors. It comes from connecting with you all, the power of intergenerational connections. So thanks for your comments, sharing that with us today. And it's not your generation that has to make these changes or save our climate. We all have to work together. So thank you both for sharing those words today. And you are entering into Jewish adulthood, and we welcome you into the leadership of our congregation. We're going to have to do that together, and we look forward to a future together. So let us all say Mazel Tov and Shabbat Shalom.
Mazel Tov! Ronnie and Alec and Julia, won't you come on up as you'll lead us in Kiddush and Motzi. Grab your sheets. Grab yourselves a microphone. And for those of you joining at home who have a glass of wine or grape juice, feel free to join along with us as they'll lead us in the words of Kiddush, which if you would like to read along are on page 301. We bless this thing to the of our Shabbat as we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. L'chaim, you can take a quick sip to make it a kosher blessing.
And take off that COVID-safe plastic that we got going on.
Yeah. We also have some gorgeous challahs for you and your family to take home with you. So why don't you grab hold of these challahs, friends? Nice.
I opened one up for you to even be able to eat from, to make that blessing kosher.
So why don't you hold on to the challahs, and together we offer the words of Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avim. Well, one of you grab a quick bite. I can take the cups from you. Too much stuff. Take a quick bite to make it a kosher blessing. And we also, before our closing song, we say thank you to Ronnie, thank you to Jamie, thank you to Noah, thank you to all of us in person and online who have made this such a sacred, special, and wonderful Shabbat. And we turn to our closing song. You can put your challahs up here for a moment. Our closing song is found on page 321, Adon Olam. We have actually given you a hint this entire service about what melody we were using. If you saw Julia's water bottle, which is now knocked over, so you can't look now. You missed your chance. We have a special, why don't you just, Rabbi Dana, our special melody for Adon Olam.
Yes, like Rabbi Jason said, if you saw the water bottle, it's a little hint we're going to be singing some Hamilton together now. I don't have piano accompaniment, and I wasn't going to be so unkind as to try to make a guitarist play it. But hopefully you'll all have enough of the music in your mind and heart that you can sing it with us. Oseh, shalom, shalom bimromav, huyaseh, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh shalom, Oseh shalom, shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Adon olam, asher malach, v'terem kol yatir nivra, le'et nasa, v'chefso kol, azai melech shemo nikra, ve'acharei kichlot hakol, levado imloch nora, ve'hu haya, ve'hu hoveh, ve'hu yeh betifara, ya-da-da-da-da. והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, ולראשיב לתכלית, שלא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי בחי גואלי, וצורב לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי, ומנוס לי בנת כוסרי ליום אקרא. אדון עולם, אשר מלך, וטרם כל יתר נברא, לעת נעשה, בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, בידו הפקיד רוחי, ותישן מהעירה, ואם רוחי גביעתי, אדוני לי, ולא יירא. ידה-דה-דה-דה, ידה-דה-דה-דה-דה-דה-דה, ידה-דה-דה-דה, ידה-דה-דה-דה-דה. Everybody! Yada-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da, yada-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, y'all. And that is the end of the service.